Yeah, very. I was blessed and fortunate to train those horses. And, started early on in my career with Free My Heart, and then, at the end of Free My Heart, and Dynasty took over.
Yeah.
So how fortunate can you be as a trainer?
Yeah.
And good horses look after themselves.
Three-time Hollywood Bets Durban July winning trainer Dean Kannemeyer is the guest on today's In the Box Seat podcast show, and he will certainly be going out of his way to make it 4 times a winner in the big race come 6th of July here at Hollywood Bets Greyville. He is the trainer, of course, of Green with Envy. Dean, how are you? And a warm welcome to our show.
Warren, Andrew, thank you very much for having me, and it's great to be here.
They've upgraded our facilities.
The first time I've been in the chairman's box. Probably the last time too.
We would have liked to have taken Dean for a breakfast at Summerfeld Clubhouse, but this is wonderful.
Yeah.
Dean, thank you for your time. Thank you for your time to come and be with us and to learn about you and your operation of Kannemeyer Racing. First, I'm not going to ask the question, how did it start for you? It would be a dumb question. Let's go straight to the jugular. The legend, and the magnitude that Peter Kannemeyer, your late father, had on you, the legacy still lives today.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a very, very popular man, I think, in the racing community. And Andrew, you've known him for years and years.
Your father's post-race interviews were legendary.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember. I think Martin Locke mentioned it to me, and I think Martin used to do a lot of interviews before, and he was very popular. And he used to. He started coming into Durban in 1973. He started, and I know he was, and he used to also come for the season, and he loved racing, and I think the public loved him. Yeah, because they used to call him almost like the big three coming from Cape Town was Millard, Rickson, and Kannemeyer.
That's right.
And I remember building the new stables, which I used afterwards when I started coming in '93. Those new stables were built on the side, but I think they were very popular, 3 of them when they arrived, and there were other trainers also came who were very successful.
Yeah, but Millard and Rickson never hardly spoke a word on the podcast or on the interviews. It was brilliant. We loved it.
So and I think the crowds and the racing public enjoyed him when he came for the season.
Dean, the KwaZulu-Natal season's always been good to your dad and to yourself, and to the Kannemeyer brand, if we could call it that.
Yeah.
You've been 40 years, 30 years at least that you guys have been coming up.
Well, as I say, he started coming in '73, and I started coming to Durban in '93. Started at Clearwood, so I cut my teeth there at Clearwood on those tracks, and I haven't missed a winter season since '93, so it even sounds better. Kannemeyers haven't missed a season since '73.
Yeah, you're showing your age now.
Well, I wasn't in '73, that's for sure. But yeah, that's how long we've been. We've never missed a season.
So you took over from your father in '99, eh?
I took over officially in '99. Took the license over.
Yeah.
But as I said, I was running the operation and since about '93. But I did a good apprenticeship there with him.
No, you had your first Group 1 winner, I think, about a couple of months later, Colonial Girl.
For Gary Play and his partners who won the
Gold Cup.
It was a good filly and Glen Hatroad for me, and we've supported the winter season and the champion season. When you look out there and look at the conditions, and I mean, this is the place to be in South Africa.
Yeah, you want to stay away from Cape Town and you just get dribbled on all day.
Come June, July, and August, it's really rainy. But the racing, as you know, it's very good in Cape Town. But the winter is the place to be in the champion season.
Dean, the old days when Dad was training, he would have faced challenges, and I'm sure now in the modern times of today, you may face challenges too. Any different challenges that you see greatly different?
I think, when he was training, I think what's happening today is that maybe some of the training tracks have improved, and I think they're going to upgrade. I think the second phase, the Milnerton will be upgrading those tracks. So I think there has been a slight improvement in Cape Town in the days he was training. I think very slight, but it will come. I'm sure they're busy with that and they're doing all the revamps. I think what has happened as trainers today, with the labour has changed. They used to work very long hours before. Things have changed, and so I think that the unions came in and probably at first I found it quite challenging, but then speaking to chaps who are in the business world and guys like Wing Construction, things like that, with my clients, and said, you've got to know how to deal with it. And I landed up, initially I was under huge pressure working with these labour problems we've got in. But it's working very well now, because as one of the guys said to me, one of the businessmen, for example, he was in construction and roadworks and things like that. He said, you've got to say, you had to recognise this and say to them, okay, what can I do for you? But what can you do for me? And I got through that stage because it was relatively new, when I took over father. But it's going smoothly. And actually, I find I'm better off today.
Yeah, but you've also got a very loyal staff, though. You've had chaps working for you for a long time.
Very, very good staff. If you look at a turnover of staff, my grooms. If I look at my grooms today, I think the average guys would be more than 10 years working for me. It's grooms 10 years. I've got my head grooms and head lads, or what I call it that. Have been with me for a long time. When you go, I use him, and that's his nickname. He's known all around the country. It's Never Die. He's been with us. He used to look after Dynasty.
Never Die Umbelo.
Yeah, and he's been there out of a long time.
Julius now?
Yeah, Julius came because Julius's uncle, Clifford, was my father's head lad.
Sure.
For the chap Trailer. And Trailer, they worked for the Gorton family.
Okay.
So Julius is with us, and Never Die is still with me. And I've got other grooms, but I've got a very loyal staff, and but also you've got to look after people too. And one of the things that was drilled into my head as a father when he was training with the staff, you've got to look after people, and you've got to pay livable wages. You've got to, and horses have now become more expensive to keep in training, because people are far better paid. Grooms are far better paid than they were paid, say 40 years ago. And the hours are more workable hours. I had to change the whole thing and say longer hours in the morning and shorter in the afternoon. Because you've got to do so many hours in a week. But and that's one thing he always did. He was always try to pay his people. And one of the things they'd say, people would say, well, you know what you charge, and we don't want to go down this. You're expensive, and I always say, I'm not expensive. Just charging correctly.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. So,
absolutely.
So there have been challenges, but I think at the end of the day, I think it's going well. It's going smoothly, and you've got to adapt like anything in life.
You touched on Never Die Mbelo, who you said Dynasty's groom, and he's currently still with you. Julius, who's the larger than life and whistles and ululates, and he's just a wonderful part of the racecourse. And then when I was chatting to our colleague in the office saying that we were doing an interview with you, he said, well, we must talk about Aaron Zabalini. And he said to me that Aaron has got such a wonderful confidence about him and such a wonderful presence and attitude. He wanted to ride Hawam in the July. That's how confident he was.
Yes, when he won, he said, don't put Anton Marcus on, put me. I think Anton was riding Hawam in the July. At the end of the day, maybe he should have. I don't know.
May have gone in.
But Aaron's a very good work rider. He's been with me a good couple of years.
William as well, William Bambisa.
William Bambisa, champion jockey, champion work rider. Jockey in Cape Town, top rider. You can see he's a great judge of pace in those work rider races, and he comes up for the season with me, and so there's Aaron. I've got about 5 top work riders, and you've got to, and also today getting back to the challenges.
Yes,
if I go back to Peter Kannemeyer training, he had Garth Buller, and the jockeys in those days weren't flying around
No.
And he was his stable jockey. Like I've got a stable jockey. We've always preferred to have a stable jockey. But those years, the guy was there every morning to work. Every morning. But anyway, they came to work, it was every day. But now, today, the chaps are flying around the country. So you have a stable jockey, maybe you come right first thing, get on the plane, he's got to fly here, he's got to fly to Port Elizabeth, he's got to fly to Durban, he's got to go to Johannesburg, he's got to go all over the place. So you've got to have good work riders because also you've got to have good feedback.
Yeah.
And that's why also I don't like too many work riders. Should I say, too many jockeys coming out to ride work. Right, just keep it limited, my stable jockey and my work riders, because it's all about also doing the correct work back home, the right pace.
Yeah.
So he was, in those days, Garth Buller was there, he was jockeying. Paddy McGiven was to ride for him too. So those guys were there every day, riding horses.
Yeah, so Garth learned a little bit from your father.
Well,
How to train horses.
well, as I said, he was jockeying for 24 years or 26 years, and I've made mention
a long
in some
time,
other
I remember
shows.
that.
I think probably the longest jockey-trainer relationship ever in the history of this country. I think it could be.
Sure, that's a great, that's an interesting step. That
Talking
about riding and work riding and amateur jockey, you were outstanding. I mean, you were a good rider in your own right. Correct me if I'm wrong. When you retired from the amateur jockeys ranks, 100% strike rate. Is that correct?
I was pretty successful, but I was also fit and young. We were amateur riders, and I was rather fit. I was riding a lot of work.
There was a Cape Hunt Polo and
Cape Hunt Polo Club, very popular.
Yeah.
I think Rolf Frickson, Terence Millard, Greg Inion, I rode winners, a lot of winners for Greg Inion. They
Jeff
started
Woodruff rode against you.
Jeff Woodruff was I didn't ride against Jeff, but Jeff was also a good rider. I think Jeff rode jumps overseas.
Yeah.
But that was, and they had like 4, maybe 6 meetings a year, I remember correctly, but full house. Kenilworth, Durbanville, Milnerton, bookmakers those days used to stand on the course, but packed.
I remember at Varsity trying to back a winner for Cape Hunt Polo. Oh, Jesus. It was impossible.
It was, but there were a lot of guys at lunch, the guys became trainers afterwards.
Yeah.
They cut their teeth, the amateur racing.
Chris Snaith was also.
Well, there's Chris Snaith, the late Greek Botten was there. There's Michael Schulman, and there's so many to mention that started there. But the first race I ever rode in, and funny enough, I wore Garth Buller's breeches and boots.
Sure.
A race, and they were too big for me. And Garth rode Bush Telegraph at 49. But I mean, he wasn't riding for every meeting 49. But I remember riding the horse, and it was a Sun Compass horse. And Garth gave me some breeches and gave me some boots. And I don't think the boots were too big for me, because you can see I grew into those feet. But these breeches were still was a bit baggy on me, so that gives you an idea when my first ride. Funny enough, going into the first ride ever, it was the Milnerton which I won. It was a 1800, and I remember Garth Buller and Peter Kannemeyer sitting me down and chatting to me about it, because we never had, there was no starting gates. It was flag start. Brody was Jack Brody was the starter, and how you're doing what you never take your eyes off the starter, which it was an 1800 metre race, far bend in Milnerton. And I think I do remember going to the scale weighing 45 kilograms. And I was 45, 46 kilograms. I was 16 years old. I think they came to the academy a lot heavier than that today. And Julie won this race. How I won, I don't know, it was just a complete blur. But what they said to me is, don't miss the break and don't come off the fence. Just stay on the fence, because they're going to go like hell up front. They're going to run 3-4 wide, these amateurs. And you stay on the fence, look for the quickest way home. And that was, Mace Roberts still said to me, I was running on Saturday, and he said to me, remember your father used to say, quickest way home.
Yeah.
And I think Garth Buller will also tell you that. But that was my start of my riding, amateur riding day. So I duly won, but it was just a complete blur. I came into the straight, I saw the grandstands over there. Southeast, I was going to blow my helmet off on it. But everybody was out there, and I just went the quickest way home.
Dean, talking about riding still and jockeys, as you say, you and your dad always tried to have a stable jockey, but you've always been loyal and always been faithful to your riders. And just looking at some of the names, Gerrit Schlechter, correct me if I'm missing a few, MJ Bielefeld, Glenn Hatt, Carl Nisius, Keegan de Mello more recently, now Craig Zaki. You've picked them, and you've picked them well, and you've stuck by them.
Yeah, you've got to, and sometimes it takes a bit of time, and as a trainer, you've got to, because you're going to punch them from all sides. Yeah. So when you bring it with fine, so as I said, Garth Buller was there. Carl Nisius was something that's very on top. And in very recent times that
Carl stood down and entered the fish so line with about 2 seasons. And I mean, more so in Durban, but wrote a lot of his men than he happened to before. And he in the meadow tried me. I was always playing same
the first couple of months, because it takes a bit of time to gel.
He was young.
Yeah, and what I want, because I thought I looked around, he was a very good rider. And Kevin Shea had mentioned to me, he said, he's a kid, this is a smart rider. I rode against him as an apprentice. This guy's got a lot of potential. You've got to groom someone young, and how do you get? It's like the coach of a team. You've got to give that player. You've got to give him that confidence. And the first, and then and also in discussion with Sir Vicar Jean Malava from Form Bloodstock, and we discussed this and brought him in. So decided, well, we're going to. I said, oh, this is the guy I want to go for King in the Mellow. So the first few months, the first 3 or 4 months, it wasn't. We were, we'll get it right, because I like monsters to run a certain style. Not that you're picking a parrot to ride your horses, but you've got to give them that confidence, what you like. At the end of the day, you say, well, you're on your own. I took a little bit of flack at the beginning, and you've got to stand up and say, you've got to protect your man. Because in this industry, if you're not, you're going to, because this hand's going to say, I want this person, this one's going to say, I want this side. It's like the ref when he blows the whistle. He said, this side of the grandstand is happy, this side is unhappy. So you've got to stick to your guns. You've got to protect that man.
I noticed when you took on Craig Zaki, he went through a bit of a blank patch when he first started for you.
Yeah.
He's picked up now.
Yeah, he has picked up. And Craig, Keegan left for Hong Kong, and also I sat down and I looked at it, and Jean Malave and myself were chatting about it, the jockeys, and
John was a very astute man, and with these red races, and my guy, and he discussed that with me. I was a very keen fan, like I say, was he discussed it over things that I was trying to be after again, and enjoy this. And started to study, and I said, this is I like to still and so he was taking a bit of time, but now he's putting it all together. And also it was just, I think, because of your mythic was stayed in, it wasn't great to start.
No.
And you're a guy that steps into the shoes of a guy who became South African champion jockey, now rides in Hong Kong. My horses that just weren't, they just weren't running up to where I wanted them to be. But I wasn't blaming the jockey. Yeah, he made mistakes. We all make mistakes. Because remember, it's a split-second decision out there, pace and things like that. So, but you look and you've got to analyse your product too, and you've got to say to yourself, and you can't say, well, I'm having. He steps in, you say, well, I'm not having a great run, and so you've got to shoot the jockey. Because some of the guys give the horse every chance, you can't win. So, but it's putting it all together. I mean, he's ridden many group races in his time for other trainers and around the country. And
Dice comes to mind, like the list is endless.
Yeah, and he's got very good hands, and I think a good judge of pace. But initially I said to him, look, I like my horses to switch off and switch on up the straight and get them come from the pace. But I mean, the other day, 2 races in Cape Town, came up to Cape Town. One he went to the front. Over a mile, I was sitting like that, and the next race he won coming from the back. So, we put it together, and of course, if you're protecting your man, giving him that confidence, he can only get better, and then he can grow with that.
Give me a contest. What were the instructions there? Because you bounced them out.
I don't really give instructions, because now he knows what I want. There was a filly that I thought yesterday, I mean, she's beautifully bred, and I just said, just watch her in the machine. So he said to me, well, if she pops out quick and she's there, I said, that I'll leave up to you.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you, it works very good. But after a while, he's got to use his own discretion.
Yeah.
And that's it, And I'll go back to what Peter Kannemeyer said to me, because he was a jockey for 25 years. He said, if you employ somebody and you've got to tell him how to do the job, you've employed the wrong guy.
Sure, how's that?
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
That's what he said. And his experience of riding for 20, 25 years. He said he was about a heavyweight rider. And those guys, those days, and we're talking about years ago, they talk about money riders and things like that.
Yeah.
Taking up a lot of weight. So he had some, you know, he had some idea what racing is all about and race riding.
Could you repeat that? Because that was a great analogy or a great word of advice. Say that again, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, he always said to me, and David Lilly was my assistant, has been ever since, who rode for just until the end of his apprenticeship, or a year after his apprenticeship. And he always used to say to us and say to me, if you find a jockey, if you think this is the right guy and you employ him, people are going to make mistakes. I'll go back to that. But he said, if you've got to tell a guy, you employ somebody and you've got to tell him how to do his job, then you've employed the wrong guy.
Sure, that's unbelievable advice and an unbelievable.
Because you know,
so true.
Absolutely, because you know they go out there and if you don't, as I said, people make mistakes and you've got to try and protect the guy. But you said to the clients that maybe it didn't work out, but you can't shoot the man for making mistakes, you know. And
I mean, there was a great. Calvin Habib rode a race in Johannesburg some time ago that everybody pulled him apart, and the trainer that he rode for said, you know, everybody wanted to hang him out and throw him out, and you know, you can't do it. You've got to stick by your man, and that's a beautiful example as well.
But it's always, it's not easy, Warren, because the trainers, you're under a lot of pressure.
I know that you're training for some of them. I remember Cyril Herberts was a complete nutcase when it comes to, if you didn't get it spot on, he would jump on you.
How do you handle that, Dean?
You do get pressure, you know, but I also train for good clients.
Yeah.
I've got very, very good clients, and clients have been around a long time. It's like it, and we haven't cultivated many young people, new people. But Father was interesting. He used to say to me, and you're talking about this, and you're training good horses, and he used to say to me, show me a good owner, then show me a good horse.
Yeah.
So if that makes any sense.
Show me a good owner and then show me a good horse.
Because if you're going to mess it up. So I train for, and I know there's a lot of emotions and people get disappointed. You know, we do all get disappointed.
No, sure.
Exactly. But you've got to take control of it. And when you're having a bad run, you know those punches are coming. But you've got to know how to take the, you know, and
Dean,
so that's the nature of the game.
Your dad has given you many pearls of wisdom, and you mentioned one yesterday in your winning interview. You try not, especially if you fancy both, run two horses in the same race. What's all that about?
Well, you know, and I've made that mistake, and I think we've all made that mistake. And somehow, you know, you can have two horses in the race, and the one horse you think very hard to beat. Now the other was, he'll need the run, and he's this, you know, and I don't know. I don't think maybe he's limited and things like that. Comes out and he beats you.
Yeah.
And he said to me, Peter Kannemeyer said to me, and I'm sure other trainers will tell you that have been taught by guys who are real professionals in their trade. When he started with Stanley Gorton, he stopped riding, and the Gortons gave him a break, and then. I remember a chap by the name of Norman Gotcher rode them. The first run he ever had was called Night Haven, which won, and then belonged to Stanley Gorton. The other one was Pagan Chief, also won first time out. I was 9, 10 years old, so, and he said to me, as I was growing with him in the business, and he said, I do remember, I said to Mr. Gorton, that horse of yours running on Saturday and he'll win. Well, what I'll do is I'll come pick you up. He was staying at Bellamore Flats, as that. Old man Gorton. He said, I'll come pick you up and then we'll go to the races and then I'll bring you back, you know. And then he said, Father said to me, he said, son, I'll sit it down, no TVs. You come chat to me afterwards, come have a whiskey with me. He said, he said, I see you got two in the same race. So I said, the other was, I'm telling you, horse will win. He said, you go to the races, enjoy yourself, but come back and have a whiskey with me, we'll see. So he said, what happened? Got beat, and that happens. It does happen.
Sure. And when you had the whiskey, when you got home, and that was when the advice time.
I mean, those days, of course, there wasn't cell phones, there was no TV, there was nothing, but those were his words from Stanley Gorton. But I had two horses running yesterday. Dazzler, I fancied, struggling, and then I had a horse that was, I think, was improving horse, and French Flame, and I said, and I looked at this, but it was something. The other horse's work was improving horse, But you know, gravel, they drew 3 and 4. So what do you do? You know, you know. I said, I'll take my chances. I was hoping they'd split that race, and so yeah, there we are. The one ran second, the other one ran fourth. But it's one of those guys. I'm not talking about if you run horses in feature races, graded races. And
Sure,
like
yes, yeah.
But you're in your lower divisions and you fancy a horse and you run a horse, and it happens. I mean,
it comes up.
So, I mean, you've seen that happen so many times. It's just one of those things. I do remember, if I can go to this, I remember as a kid, I used to ride work for him. And we had and Garth Buller will tell you the story. I remember a foreign ambassador.
One of the Guineas.
Yeah, he was one of the Guineas, and I remember, and I think it was also called Red Bishop. I know what happened to Gallop on the Monday, and I think foreign ambassador must have beaten him on the Monday, and the Gallops were about 5-6 lengths. And I know some horses on such good work horses back then. Anyway, it was like that to the race, heads up, heads down. You know, the foreign ambassador won the race, but so yeah, some horses you just think, well, you know, that's the better of the two, but back home and then come race.
Red Bishop was a top sprinter.
Yeah, he was a very top. I think it was to.
Wasn't there also?
I think it belonged to Basil Hershoff. Yeah.
Wasn't there also? Correct me if I'm wrong. A Red Bishop trained by Colin Lee in a much later stage. No.
There was a Red Bishop trained by.
Red Bishop came down from Johannesburg with Johnny Nicholson.
Johnny Nicholson.
Okay. Dean, you mentioned Johan Malherbe, and I'm glad you did. Johan Malherbe formed Bloodstock. Jane Thomas of Far End pre-training and equine Bloodstock, advice, etc. Two very important people in your operation, and I think safe to say two very close friends of yours. Johan, an absolute gentleman. We had the biggest party ever when we went to Maritzfontein with Johan, and I remember just talking to him about knowledge of racing. He's unbelievable. And of course Jane, who's got an eye to die for, and for horses, and yeah, they're an integral part of your team.
Oh, very much so. When we go to the sales, you know, Jean does a pedigree analysis, and obviously knows the catalogue because they're part of it. And Jane Thomas is part of the selection panel for the catalogue, and they go to all the farms in South Africa with Alistair Gordon, and they would do the physical, and there's a scoring, and so she's seen all those horses on the farms, and that's presented to the board of the committee, and so the Jean Malherbe has also to do with the catalogue. So nevertheless, so he would do a pedigree analysis for us, and we'd go have a look at the horses in Johannesburg, and we'd try and break it down, like a lot of trainers do. But I've always said 2 heads are better than 1, really 3, and we've always, no one's a genius in this game, but we try our very best to rule out, you know, like when in doubt, you know, rule out.
Well, I saw Jane's hand was
nice
sale.
And Jane has got a few clients also that she buys for it, and John is a very very good horseman, and a very very astute, and a very good judge of horse flesh, I must say. He's a very good, very, very good judge of horse flesh, and very straight down the line. And there's no smoke and mirrors. And I've built up a very good relationship with him over the years. And he was a good race commentator.
Oh, yeah, absolutely he was.
You know, calling a race, can't kid him about, you know, because there's always a hard luck story afterwards. You know, everyone, you know, this side and that side. But so we built up this relationship, and I think we work very, very well together. We just try and put our heads together and try and get the best. And as I said, we're not no one's a genius in this game, but we've been pretty successful.
And a great sense of humour too, Johan. Now, in every yard, owners are well, that's, you know, the most important are your owners, and you and your dad have provided results, high-end results, and which has attracted the high-end clients. Field Spring Racing, Kaya Stables, the Slacks, the Gels, and many other clients that you have, valued clients. You've got the Dean Kannemeyer Racing Syndicate, Wayne Thompson and friends, just off the top of my head, the Biscobies. You really have been blessed, and I say blessed not just because it's hit and miss, because you've delivered. great owners.
Yeah, I have got very good owners, and I said most of my owners in my yard. I'd say 90% of the owners in my yard are experienced racegoers, and so I am blessed. And at the end of the day, you've got the most difficult part of it.
They understand the game.
Yeah,
but
and also is looking after them to keep them. So there's also another generation of owners that are coming into the game, and I don't want to sound like an old man because I'm not, and there's young trainers, and it's in every business, things change and new owners come, so sometimes you get a young guy that's making money, or a lady that's making a lot of money, things like that, and so they want to sit with a so, like the Neefit is sitting, I don't want any old bullies. They don't want old bullies working on it. But not that. But so the clients that I got are very, very good clients, understanding, and may continue with these clients, and you got to look after them and do our best. And as I say, we all get disappointed, and we go to the sales and we buy horses for. We all live in the hopes and dreams of glory of getting a top horse, winning the July or the Metro, the Classics, and things like that. And it's never easy, but that's what it's all about.
Yeah, didn't your dad have the Ovenstones?
Yeah, father won in July with
Mary
Edith Ovenstone and Ronnie Ovenstone.
Ronnie Ovenstone.
Yeah, and they owned Over the Air.
Yes,
Ronnie
right,
was, I think, was one of his first horses, and Edith Ovenstone, she owned Over the Air, and. That was, I think, father won the July in about 1979, I think, with Over the Air.
Yeah.
And Garth Puller rode. So he's also had a lot of clients, wonderful, great clients. And fortunately, a lot of those clients aren't with us today. Friday night, the office on a Friday night at our stables, the Milton Training Complex, was known. We entertained. There was a lot of whiskey and wine and champagne that was going around. I think there were some clients there, and I remember as a youngster sitting there. I think a lot of them controlled the economy of the country, but he had a big crowd, and everybody, in the summertime, people from overseas all go to Kannemeyer's office on a Friday evening. That's what was all happening, and things like that. And even when he got older years, and he said to me, "Son, I want to tell you something." Tell David, Lily, and myself. When they left that yard, every Friday night I cleaned that office. I used to polish 32 glasses every night. Not that he wanted 32. Those crystal glasses were clean and things like that. But he had a wonderful crowd. The people used to come and no one overstayed their welcome until 9 o'clock in the morning. It was basically on Friday afternoon. He used to say, "Well, you want to come see horses, come have a look at horses on a Friday afternoon." They would start arriving from about 3:30, 4 o'clock onwards. Go around. I was working for him, and I was that stage, and I was like the car guard there, and I was opening doors and letting people in and pouring the whiskey and the drinks, showing the horses and things like that, and they really, really enjoyed it, and good people bring other good people.
That's right. Yeah.
But things have changed. We don't. And I think something we discussed earlier on is that you don't see that on a Friday night. Things have changed, and it's a different generation of people coming.
But Dean, are you looking at? Okay, Summerfeld's a great training centre, but it is a bit out of the way.
Yeah.
So if you want to come for a party or drinks afterwards,
drinks on a
Friday,
Friday.
Unless
you're living in Hillcrest or
unless you're living in Hillcrest or Waterfall. But if you're in Belito or Mhlanga, it
is a long drive. But the guys in those years used to come. They used to leave office, and those that were still working.
Yeah, but Milnerton's
from town. But they would come around, and then 1 or 2 whiskies and whatever it may be on. Then, so it was always safe from, and then people would leave by about 7 o'clock. People would be going out for dinner, things like that.
But Milnerton was a great racetrack in those days.
Milnerton
near Bend was it used to give you top horses because if you could win a big race there, if you won the Guineas.
Well, it was a great run Guineas, the Milnerton Near Bend Mile.
Milnerton Near Bend Mile. If you won and also the Langerman also.
Yeah, the Langerman 3-year-olds. Yeah,
also
jumping into the Near Bend race.
Yeah, they always threw up champions.
Well, if you look at the record of the Guineas, the Cape Guineas, Milnerton Near Bend, it's sort of the men from the boys. They also had a lot of hard luck stories. But if you see horses that run in the first 4 in the Guineas those years,
They were top horses.
Either one land up winning the Met, if they got beat, or they ran the first four, they either won the Met or they won the July thereafter. So it was a great, something was around the beginning of February. And
going southeast sometimes.
Yeah.
So they would be flying into that too. Really rough. I mean, I was, and it was the kid I used to work in starters and it was the smaller side, so I was up in Box, I was. And I don't remember those races quite clearly, but they'd hit that turn. And then you were street climbing that guided southeast. So you had a lot of the great speed and took your position there. But it really stood on me.
And the boys. Yeah. Bad horses didn't win the Guineas.
No, they didn't win the Guineas.
You're a Cape Town-based trainer. However, it's clear for all to see you're half in the Cape, half in KwaZulu-Natal. You have a top-quality human being and horseman in the form of David Lilly down in the Cape, and of course Nicolette Roscoe, a passionate, intelligent when it comes to all things in KwaZulu-Natal. How do you manage it? How do you handle it being between the two?
Well, I've always been blessed to have good people working for me, and we're going back to our grooms and staff and things like that. And so we always try and employ people that you think will be better than you. David Lilly, his uncle was Colin Palm, trained Harry Hotspur and some top horses and things like that, and he was the Manjagali family. And then David, when he stopped riding into his apprenticeship, maybe a year or two out of his apprenticeship, battling with his weight, he started with Colin. Then Colin gave up, and then but he came to join us. So that's how long he's been, because he used to go to Durban, my father, Clarewood, and I would run the yard in Cape Town. And that's in '93. Then I started going, and then David sat our father down there. So David has been like a right-hand man in Cape Town ever since. Also a very astute horseman, very hard worker. David may not be the flamboyant guy that's going to sit and with a three-piece suit and do the talking, but he knows his horses. Exceptionally great stableman, and when I leave, I take quite a lot of horses here for the season, so it also puts a bit of pressure on him because he hasn't really got a great string while I leave. He's got some nice horses, but it's also difficult. I bring quite a big string for the season, yeah. So I'm blessed to have a man like David Lilly, reliable, doesn't miss a thing.
Yeah, so you can just leave it to him. Nothing's going to go.
So when then I leave and I fly back every now and then to Cape Town, see what's happening, and I'll do the entries and I'll discuss it with David, and then I'll get back to what the old timer said, father always said to me: one man can train 100 horses, two men can't train one horse. So you can listen to him, you can say, well, if it needs to this or it needs that, then you must go ahead and do it, and things like that. But I'll leave it up to him. I'll do the nomination, chat to him how we're going and things like that. And then I've got Nicolette Roscoe here, who was a great assistant trainer too, experienced, hard-working, reliable, doesn't miss anything. And while I'm in Cape Town, when I go to Cape Town, when I'm back home in Cape Town for the season, she runs the satellite yard we got here. The satellite yard, in the last 2 years, the numbers have dropped. Because, I started in 2015, and it was a hell of a thing to try and open up a satellite yard here. There was so much politics involved. We overcame that when we started the yard in 2015. And one stage I'll be going in Clarewood, and then Barbara Kennedy, and then Nicolette joined me. So she would run the yard while I'm away, and she's done exceptionally well while I'm away. There were bigger numbers. The last 2 years to 3 years, the numbers have dwindled a bit in off season. So I have two great assistant trainers, and I couldn't ask for more.
Yeah, Nicolette worked for Alistair Gordon for a long time.
That's right. She was with Alistair for many years.
She took over from Craig Udy, and he'd been there for 22 years.
Yeah, so she'd been Alistair for quite some time.
It came at the right time for Nicolette.
Yeah.
Because Alistair sadly had just turned it up, and gone on to work with Bloodstock South Africa. And so it came. The opportunity came at the right time for her. She's a fabulous person, is Nicolette. Talking about fabulous people. Tracy, your wife, she loves her horses, and of course is with you every step of the way.
Yeah, Tracy enjoys it, and Tracy is from Durban, and she enjoys the racing. I tell you what was a really great trip. She really
used to go and defend with Jockey. She used to love a Friday night race. That was when they stopped at the night race. I had Tracy in Durban. I'd see other people, and it started a syndicate. And because the Friday evening we'd go to the room and she would fancy mates.
Yeah.
We'd have a big table there, and I'm sure you do remember Warren ending up at least that final notice. And the ladies loved
racing,
Friday evening, and they would take their big sixes and their PAs, and there were quite a few people. And so that's where I think my syndicate started, the Dean Kannemeyer Racing Syndicate. But that was a big thing, and the ladies loved racing on a Friday evening.
Yeah, I know a lot of friends of mine used to come racing on Friday night, but now you won't ever see them on a race course.
They loved it. Because you started at 5:30, I think it was.
Somewhere around
there. And then, the last race was at 8:30.
Yeah.
So, and you could be home by 9:15.
Yeah.
And
let's hold thumbs that in the near future it may come back. The lights are there. There's a few logistics.
Well, listen, if you put these lights on, the whole of South Africa goes black. So
No, she enjoys it, and it's like, and then also, when I'm in Cape Town, she doesn't race that often. She's sort of got other interests in things that she keeps herself occupied with, and I know. And being a Durban girl, I remember we go back to Cape Town, and she said to me, our house was tiled inside. Go back to the August, she said to me, my goodness me, the cold in Cape Town house is a different cold in July, August. And when you come from Durban and you look at this place, and it's fantastic.
Dean, top horses that you had, I still remember Mana riding at Horsfield Beck.
Free My Heart.
Free My Heart,
I remember also Rabaya comes to mind.
Yeah, he was a good racer.
Dynasty, obviously, and obviously we're going into the home straight of our podcast now. We could talk for 5 hours about the top horses of the past, but just some really great horses, Dean.
Yeah, very. I was blessed and fortunate to train those horses. And still early on in my career with Free My Heart, and then. And it was the end of Free My Heart, and Dynasty took over.
Yeah.
And so how fortunate can you be as a trainer?
Yeah.
And good horses look after themselves. And there's three things I'll say with a good horse. Horse always said to me, because it said to me, when I was a youngster walking out of the yard, it was the Gordon family. Granville Gordon and Doreen Studd and the Gordon family. They said to me these three very important things. You've got to feed a horse well. You've got to sleep him well, and you've got to exercise him well. He'll look after you.
Yeah.
Unless you've got no idea how to place a horse, and especially if you think horse has got potential, and is he going to be a 3-year-old? Is he going to be this? Is he going to be that? And then if he's going to land up being a classic horse, where's your target going to be? Where's your goal? And what happens from that goal, from when you start that summer campaign or spring campaign, is where to place him to get to that, to those classic races and feature races. Those good horses were. He was a Free My Heart was a very good horse. Free My Heart, he was also when people spoke to me of Dynasty, and he is the best horse ever trained, I think. Father saying to me, don't forget about Free My Heart. That horse went along. And I ran him one year, and then I said to John Newsom and Graham Beck, I said, I'm not going for the Met this year, just the Queen's Plate. And he duly won the Queen's Plate. But I want to fly him to Johannesburg. I want to go for the West Chestnut Stakes. I said, that's fine. And I got went with SA Cargo. I flew him to Johannesburg. So he won the Queen's Plate, missed the Met, He won the Horse Chestnut Stakes. I trucked him down the following morning.
He won the Gold Challenge. And then 3-4 weeks later, he won the Champions Cup.
Yeah.
And I don't think many horses can do that.
No.
You know, so from 1600 meters to 2,000 meters, when he won, and Carl Nietzsche rode him in most to so. Funny enough, and I arrived on a Tuesday, way up on a Tuesday, and I was saying, that's crazy, they're too early. One night before, you know, day before, and I also, my flew on the Tuesday, 12 rode for the big first time in his reps. I said, oh, you know, it was a leave him alone. But he squeezed him at the front end and said, he'll eat the front end, so the 300, 400. But he rode exceptionally well. And the car riding the rest of his career. But I don't think there's many horses in the country can do that.
No.
To go Queensland,
it was tough.
Horse Chestnut Lakes, Gold Challenge, and the Champions Cup of the top weight to do it. So that's a good dynasty. I mean, he was just an absolute freak, was a magnificent horse thing.
I've trained in Ribier. I mean, that was the first farm I trained the mother. She came here, Mystique Spring, which Phil Spring brought over from overseas, and she was tiny. She was battling between northern and southern hemisphere. And I think I gave her one run, and I said to John Newsom, I think she's better off in the paddock, in foal. And the first foal I remember was by Jallard Ribier. And I know Cara and them apologising to me, there's bad legs. I said, well, we'll give it a go. He duly won the Guineas, and he won the Derby, and he won the Daily News, unfortunately, tragically. We lost him in the July. All those things had happened. But he was the first foal in Mystique Spring. And she's been a great mare. And she was this big.
It's funny about that. I remember Gary Rich was telling me they had a horse, what's it? Connect Me.
Connect Me.
Yeah, just this big. Couldn't, they tried to sell it to stud. No one wanted it. Eventually sold it for five grand. Went to Blue Sky Thoroughbred.
The yearling had just got sold now. The tiniest mare she first produced was a big, strong filly. I think they got 1.2 million for it. But she was well bred, Mystique.
No, she was.
Yeah, she was well bred. She was a Royal Academy filly.
The season ahead, before we quickly, because as I said, we've got 3 more points of discussion, and we're going to have to wrap up because just time is never on our side. But quickly before we talk about the season ahead, I remember many years ago, I was a kid. I was still in school, and Dynasty was around. And Dean was having dinner one night with Etienne van der Westhuizen and Kit Colt, David Greet, the late David Greet, in their home in La Lucia. And I'd known that David was my next door neighbour, and I knew that he had had dinner with you. And I said to him, I fancied Dynasty. And next morning, I didn't have a cell phone. I went running across. I said, David, how was dinner with Dean? He said, we had a lovely evening, with Etienne and anyway. I said, does he like Dynasty? Dynasty's my July horse. He said, Dean says the only way Dynasty can get beaten is if it misses the float to the races.
Well, I must have made that statement after a lot of bottles of Chardonnay.
Unless David made it up, but it was a joke and everybody enjoyed. And results.
Yeah, well, I think a few blokes bloody soiling their trousers. Robbie Fred didn't exactly shine on him that day.
And I do remember coming. We had the draw, and. What was the journalist? He was a very good friend of my father's, and he was around for a long time, and he passed away.
Jack Ramsey.
Jack, and we had the draw, and I had free my heart in Dynasty in the race. And we were standing outside, and I think those days I still used to smoke. And we were standing outside, and he said to me, Dean, because Fremont was a gig about his record.
And
he said, Dean, I fancy this film, because Dynasty was a 3-year-old. And I said to Jack, Jack, let me tell you something. Because I've always been very conservative on horses. He just won the Guineas, he won the Derby, he'd won everything. And I said, Jack, if the horse draws well, they won't beat him in July. And
drew 20.
I was standing there doing the draw, and there was only one horse to come out, and there was 20 draws.
That thing was going over the jokes, and you want me to get up. Anyway, I was sitting in the same table with Jack, very team. And I was devastated with retweak. And I looked at him, said, I have to Jack that side. And the tweaks, and I do remember Tom Houston speaking about it. So, in your name's the thing. There was, when you should scratch it, my voice, I don't know, because was a spirit. We need a lot of luck, in Europe. So, but I said, there's only one chance. And so, this was spirit, you have to take it. And, And I guess it was about the night when first.
Hours a meter of the race. It was, you could see it was. When Robbie Fad got off, he said to me, Dean, he said to me, Dean, it was well drawn. I wouldn't have moved on this horse.
Sure.
But the way things happened, I rode like a first-year apprentice.
Yeah.
But I was trying to get in, he said, but if I was well drawn, I would never have come with the bit.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wouldn't have moved on.
He rode a shocker.
And he was the one who said to me, we tried to take him to Hong Kong
Yeah.
for the Queen Elizabeth. Because Robbie was riding in Hong Kong this.
Yeah.
And he said to me, Dean, you bring this horse, they won't beat him in Hong Kong. But of course, all the issues and getting him out, and the London News went after that, things like that. But nevertheless, it was a good horse. We need to find another one.
The current season ahead.
Maybe you found another one.
Well, we're getting there. Because there's 2 more points of discussion, and then sadly we're going to have to wrap it up and wish Dean all the very best. But the current season, yesterday we saw Gimmy's Countess, who looks to be is a magnificent looking filly. She seems to be on the up and exciting for the juvenile races. You've had that whole family actually. Give me a Prince, the real Prince. Now you've got the sister.
And I had the mother, yes.
Correct.
The mother. Yeah,
Correct.
Real Princess. Filly.
So 2 parts to the question. One is the real Prince, the plans there for the season, and where is he, what's he doing? And the second part of the question is, well, as Andrew says, green with envy. I mean, he's got everyone's tongues wagging.
Yeah, if I get back to us, I'll give me a Prince, that was Real Princess's first foal. I think top sprint in the country. Great horse, and also that thank goodness, patience. Owner had a lot of patience. And so we managed to get him to win all those Group 1 races.
And his school brothers, the Red Comes on first time at Enel. And years ago since, unfortunately, enjoyed himself up in the first pushed him. But once again, I did say to fire studies, they were too shyly over it. Just will give him a lot of time. He's so very angry. So he would be out shortly. And I might be teasing him to his claim.
93,
yeah.
No.
And then this is the third fault. So that's a wonderful pick, Real Princess. I mean,
Yeah.
It was a top 530 of the CPSL, those who secured a very good third. So, I mean,
Lady Ladle must be very, very proud of it. And I spoke to her yesterday, and she was really, really proud of that, of a filly that won yesterday, but also the mother and the family.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Thrown 3 crackers.
Yeah, absolutely so. But it's still early days with the filly, and she won.
how strong was Rose? We don't know that she couldn't do more than that. And then getting back to treating with the year that they need. What he's going about his business the right way. And so keeping the game out that you can see the stomach together. There's this the mother one, and he ran once in Ireland, and a lot of those Irish horses stay on and on 2-4 first time, but went to South Africa.
But he's a progressive horse. If you look at him, you can see he's only physically now starting to do it. But deep girth horse, a lovely shoulder. And when I started with him as a 2-year-old, and I ran him once here, and as I've said before, he's not nothing back home, and he just goes through the motions. You could see the other day when he ran a Gravel, he just goes to sleep. But he's a horse that when I ran him first time at Gravel, I thought, don't embarrass me, because he showed absolutely nothing back home. He duly won.
Yeah.
And a year later he's favoured for the July. He won again, but he's putting his act together. So he goes in the daily news. The July, it's a lot about the weights, it's a lot about the draw. You need a lot of luck, as I say, in any race you need a lot of luck, because the July is rough. After running of the July, you win it, you go to the jockey room, you can hear it's happening. So, but he's going about it the right way, but it's never an easy race.
It's a type of race that the way he runs, 20 would be a nice draw.
Yeah, well, I'd still be I'd prefer a bit closer, I would Jagged Ice, and when he drew badly, and then the July, I thought, well, okay. And the following year I fancied him. I think he drew in the first 4.
Yeah.
He just got beat. I think.
See him into the line.
Yeah.
The Sean Cormac road. But he's going about it the right way. As we get closer, into the Gallop Challenge, well, we know it's Challenge under factor was yesterday in News Street. but I think he's going back to business side.
He's got the nicest temperament. I had the privilege, Dean, when we went into the interviews of the stable for the TV show, he said, ask can we go to have a look, and Dean being as always welcoming as ever. And I went, he just puts his head on your chest, and he's a magnificent, he's got such a wonderful temperament.
What a good judge of character.
And I haven't seen a horse. I haven't seen a horse.
Chowed him, man.
I haven't seen a horse. Wait, they don't chow at good people. But I haven't seen a horse with a turn of foot like that in a long time. So we wish you all the best with him and the team going forward. But as you say, he's doing everything right, and let's hope, as I said at the beginning of the show, 3-time winning trainer. Let's hold thumbs that it's 4-time winning trainer come the first Saturday in July. Last question. In fact, 2 quickly last questions. Nerves, do you still, through these years, do you still get butterflies, get a little nervous, excited for the big ones, any race?
Very tense. Maybe a maiden plate, and I fancy also get very tense. Drag other than answer the palms still give it sweeter.
Okay.
I think as I've fought this fight and make used to that. But I still get very tense. The day you don't get tense, but I remember one of the pros in South African world champion boxer and was get shot every week now, but I was never sick. I said this man, I'm never being scared, but I'm intense and lynch and again. I'm not scared. So you get, I can be in English speaking about what division basically, because there's a lot of people involved. Owners, it's your business. And the grooms, the breed, it was a stud book. But you're putting together that will stand. I mean, mayors of the low division race and cancer, mate, and you pull it off, I mean, that feeling when she won yesterday, Miss Countess, and beautiful, great thing. I did fancy, yes, and I mean, she went to the line with her hand for a shake. To give you some idea, and to your score, means to score big deals. Absolutely, because it's when they go through the line like that, as a trainer has a relief to go leave it till the job is done. That's what, because the first time I ever won the job, but then it's given huge pressure, and it was like, that was just sort of you, and I helped get over the stress. I think it was Jim's and other than that, from Neil Russ and those guys. But yeah, they do get tense. They don't get tense and concerned about other.
Dean, last question, and we have to wrap. The team behind the scenes are giving us the thumbs up that our time has come. But please let the answer be no. The question that I'm going to ask you is, God willing, there's no early retirement on the horizon. Are we still going to be able to enjoy your company and your thoroughbreds?
Oh no, absolutely. I haven't even thought about retiring. I mean, this should definitely not. And as long as you've still got good owners and people supporting it, because it's anyway been good stock on the shelf. Yes, and I think I may have mentioned to you earlier, money stuff's been due next year, but it's not going to be enough. But I haven't thought about it. But you've got to have good owners, and you've got, sportsmen. Then they can, as they get older, can use their touch, things like that. The trainers should get better because they're wiser.
Yeah, should get
good point. Yeah.
Should get better. But you've got to have the stock on the shelf. Yeah. So you've got to have the owners to support you, that's very important. And there's always the story. I bought the horse for 10 grand or 5 grand, was a champion. But that's why everyone's got a chance in the game. But you've got to, as you know yourself, you've got a little bit of a better chance if you raise the bar buying horses. Hopefully we still continue to have that support. But there's no signs of retirement.
Well, that's the answer we wanted to hear. So we're very, very happy. But just to thank you for your time, and we could have done a TV series with the Kannemeyer legacy, and we haven't even scratched the surface really with Dean. But as I said, we can't sit here for 6 hours. As much as we'd love to, but thank you for your time, and to you and Tracy and your whole team and absolutely everybody. Professionalism to the T, and transparency to the T, and loves the media, does Dean. So thank you. We wish you all the very best, and as I said, let's hope that the Hollywood Bets do in July. It's another one to add to your tally. Please, God.
Warren, Andrew, thank you very much. It's great to be on the show with you, and.
Dean, thanks very much, Al. It's good to catch up.
Yeah, that's it. That's Dean Kannemeyer of Dean Kannemeyer Racing. He is the trainer of the current Hollywood Bets Derby July favourite. And as I said, 3 times he's won it. Let's hope come the first Saturday in July for him and his team, the record will go up to 4. Remember to subscribe, like, and follow us on the Gallop TV YouTube channel. If you missed last week's episode of In the Box Seat, click right here and you'll be able to watch it at your leisure.